Hello, Avalanche. My name's Chris Wilson, and in this tutorial, we're going to query the Avalanche network. We've covered the account creation in the previous tutorial, and now is a good time to dig in and figure out what else we can learn about the Avalanche network. We will cover pulling information from X and P chains using a JavaScript client, as well as using curl to send network calls directly to DataHub. Make sure you've completed the previous two tutorials, as we will be building upon the same Node.js application. Tools required to complete this tutorial are curl. Most systems come with curl pre-installed. See downloads for your OS if you don't have it installed. Another way to see if you have curl installed is to open your terminal and type in curl. And if you get curl help or curl manual, that means it's installed. If curl not found pops up, it means it's not installed. Now we can move on to querying the network. So once we've checked to see if our curl has been installed or not, and we've installed it, we can move on to querying the network. We've briefly covered fetching data from network in the second tutorial. After we have successfully funded the address with Faucet, retrieving address balances is one of the common tasks you'll be doing while working with the Avalanche. However, there's simply more functionality available for us to play with. Our areas of interest include both P and X chains. They offer different information and require separate clients. So far, we have only worked with X chain. Let's go ahead and prepare a new file called quarry.js. Open our project, make sure we are on the right project. Create new file, quarry.js. Now in here is where we are going to take this snippet and plop that in there. Again, same template, but we've just created a placeholder method for querying information using different clients. Avalanche provides a set of clients, mapping them directly to the JSON RPC endpoints. So once you get familiar with method signatures, you'll be able to make HTTP calls with curl in no time. Avalanche Info API provides basic information about the network, such as software version that the node is running, its bootstrap status, transaction fees, etc. All code in this section should be added into the query info function. Each chain in Avalanche has an internal ID with addition of aliases used by the primary chains, like X, P, C chains. We could obtain the actual IDs via a few API calls. Also, when working with a network node, being that private node or a public one like DataHubs, it's important to know if a certain chain, P or X, is bootstrapped before sending any valuable transactions. Let's go ahead and add the following code to query info. Query info. And save. We're getting the blockchain IDs and their bootstrap status for primary chains plus current fees for certain operations. You can go here to see more details about the Avalanche API. Now we can query pchain. Pchain holds information about staking and validators on the network. How such information is useful, you might ask. With just a few client method calls, you can obtain a list of validating participants, their total stake, how many delegations they hold, duration of such delegations, potential staking rewards, and any information that you might need if you plan to get involved with staking activities. Popular block explorers also utilize the raw network information and wrap that in a nice UI. On to the code. Add the following snippet to the query pchain method. Query pchain, and save. We're fetching subnets and validators. Subnet represents a group of validators that form consensus on a state of a blockchain. Primary pchain will have a greater number of active validators, 800 plus as of March 2021. We're also retrieving the full list of active validators on the network. Next, we can inspect validator's reward address, keep adding to the existing method, and save. Can also query generic p-chain info like block height, minimum amount for staking activities, and total supply. Fetch current height, fetch current minimum staking amount, fetch current supply. So we're just going to go ahead and take that and continue to add it and save. And you can find more details about p-chain API here. Now we can move on to querying the X-chain. X-chain is used for any asset exchange operations, simple transactions, interchain token transfers, asset minting, and so on. We're going to expand on this topic in the following tutorials. For now, let's just add a few lines of code into the query X-chain method. Let's go ahead and copy that. Scroll down, query X-chain. Paste it in there and save. We're fetching the default transaction fee on the X-chain. It'll get handy when it's time to create a transaction, as transaction processing on the network is not free and you'll need to calculate the full transaction amount including the fee. Next, we want to check on transaction status to see if it's accepted or rejected. And save. We also want to get asset balances of the address. So we'll add this. More information on X-chain API can be found over here. And now we can run the code. With all pieces of the puzzle in place, we can finally see our creation in action. Let's go ahead and run nodequery.js in our terminal. Oh, make sure this is saved. Control S. And now nodequery.js. Look at that. Beautiful. Successful output will look similar to this, and that's what we got. Looking pretty good so far. That concludes our experiment with the client methods of avalanche.js library. Next, we'll try our hand at making HTTP API calls with curl. Let's move on to querying from the terminal. While using the JavaScript client is convenient, not all environments will provide Node.js, or even allow installation of third-party packages. That, or we just want to make a quick call to check the transaction status, or find out if a validator is active on the network, for miscellaneous purposes. That's when tools like curl or HTTP are quite useful. First, we want to make sure curl can interact with the DataHub API we configured in the first tutorial. We can set the API endpoint with this bit of code. And before we run that, paste it in there. But here at the end, we need to put our API key. So we can find our API key by going to our DataHub and copying our API key from right there. And then put that in there. And remember, never share your API key. And if you accidentally do share it, go back, rotate it, and then everywhere in your code where you have it, replace it. So we're going to hit enter. Next, we can make a curl call from the terminal to check the status of this example transaction. So let's go ahead and copy that from the terminal. All right, it was accepted. Avalanche API endpoints are using JSON RPC protocol over HTTP. Each chain will have a different URL prefix, like this for X-chain or this for P-chain. Request method is also prefixed by the component, like AVM or EVM. Some methods take parameters, some don't. You should check API documentation to see the exact list of parameters for each method. If you got the DataHub API URL set right, you'll see output like this. And we did. Response includes useful information in the result field. We can see that our transaction is accepted, same as when we use JavaScript to fetch the status. DataHub provides multiple options for API authentication. In the example above, we're using API key as part of the request path. However, most of the examples in the pathway are actually using header-based authentication. Visit Avalanche service page to see how to use both authentication methods. And don't forget to go back to DataHub and verify the step. Getting the hang of it? Nice. We've learned a lot in this tutorial. What information is available in different API endpoints, how to configure clients for different chains, and finally, how to query network with curl. All this experience won't go unused. Also, depending on your proficiency with programming in general, you might have learned how to structure your code a bit, keep methods short, and split codes into files when necessary. That concludes tutorial number 3. Now, being able to query Avalanche Network is fun, but wouldn't it be great if you could not only read, but also write to the blockchain? In the next tutorial, we will explore the use of transactions in order to write to the blockchain state. As always, if you had any difficulties following this tutorial, or simply want to discuss Avalanche Tech and DataHub, you can join our Discord in the link down below. I look forward to seeing you there, and until next time, happy coding!